Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to review the second sugya from the beginning because it's a very long sugya. It's not a very difficult sugya, but it's long, and because of that, I feel like we were perhaps getting a little lost. So, who wants to read it? Amar Rav Shemuel Amar Rav Shemuel bar Yitzchak. Hold on 1 second. So, the first Mishnah that we studied, Betula Niset Leyom Revi'i. We said that Betula Niset Leyom Revi'i, we understood why Yom Revi'i. Ike, you want to explain why Yom Revi'i? What was the thinking?
Because because a Bet Din is open on Yom Chamishi.
Exactly. The Bet Din is open on Yom Chamishi, so therefore they would do it on Yom Revi'i. So Shlomo, what was the question that the Gemara asked, or the right?
Why not Yom Sheni?
Why not Yom Rishon?
Yeah.
Exactly, Yom Rishon. And the answer we're going to see is Shakedu. Because if the wedding is on Yom Rishon, how is he going to prepare for the wedding? Shakedu Chachamim.
Right?
What?
That's also she, right?
Right. The point is that he needs. We want the minimum preparation for the wedding 3 days. So he has to prepare for the wedding. And this is the takana for her benefit, meaning he, the husband, must prepare for the wedding a minimum of 3 days. Okay, and that's what we're studying here. That's the topic. I just want to plug you in. So the connection between the second sugya and the Mishnah is an obvious connection. The Mishnah says Yom Revi'i, but it doesn't say Yom Rishon. Why? And that's what we're studying in the second sugya. Okay, so that answers your question. So now, let's read it. Shlomo, you want to read Amar Rav Shemuel bar Yitzchak.
Okay.
Amar Rav Shemuel bar Yitzchak. Amar
Rav Shemuel bar Yitzchak. I don't have Amar Rav.
I know, exactly.
No.
I'm telling you that's correct. It's
okay. Yeah. Amar Rav. Lo Shenu.
Okay, now. So first of all, every sugya mentions Chachamim, right? Chachamim mentioned in the sugya. And when you see the name of a Chacham mentioned in the sugya, it's a clue as to where the sugya was edited. Because, don't forget, each one of the sugyot was edited either in Yeshivat Surah. Yeshivat Surah was founded by Rav. Or Yeshivat Fom Bedita. Originally it was Yeshivat Nehar De'ah, but then Nehar De'ah was destroyed a generation after it was founded, and then everybody moved to Fom Bedita. But the point is, part of studying the sugya is being aware of the names in the sugya. So here, Amar Rav Shemuel bar Yitzchak Amar Rav. Let me explain to you who he was. Rav was the founder of Surah. Rav, he went to Eretz Yisrael to study with Rabbeinu HaKadosh. So he left Babel and he went to Eretz Yisrael. His uncle was Rabbi Chia. Rabbi Chia was his uncle, and Rabbi Chia was a Talmid Chaver of Rabbeinu HaKadosh, meaning it wasn't just a regular Talmid, he was a Talmid Chaver. So Rav went, and through the connection, his uncle was a Talmid Chaver of Rabbeinu HaKadosh. Rav studied with Rabbeinu HaKadosh. He was one of the younger Talmidim of Rabbeinu HaKadosh. So when Rav then later on returned to Babylonia, he founded Yeshivat Surah. Okay, so he's one of the most important Hachamim, one of the most important Emoraim, first generation of Emoraim, the founder of Yeshivat Surah, and one of his Talmidim was Rav Shemuel bar Yitzchak. Okay, so now you see to get a sense of what this, who, or something about the sugya, or something about this statement at least. Okay, so that's when we study Gemara. We always want to have a very clear picture of who's who. Okay, so Amar Rav Shemuel bar Yitzchak, Amar Chavot.
לא שנו אלא מתקנת עזרא ואילך.
אלא מתקנת עזרא ואילך. Okay, לא שנו. אלא מתקנת עזרא ואילך. Continue. Finish reading the statement of Rav Shemuel bar Yitzchak.
שאין בתי דינים קובעים אלא.
שאין בתי דינים. The correct says יושבים בכל יום.
יושבים בכל יום. אלא בשני וחמישי.
בשני ובחמישי.
בשני ובחמישי. אבל קודם תקנת עזרא שבתי דינים קובעים בכל יום.
יושבים בכל יום.
יושבים בכל יום. אישה נישאת בכל יום.
Okay, read the statement again. אמר רב שמואל בר יצחק אמר רב.
אמר רב שמואל בר יצחק אמר רב, לא שנו אלא מתקנת עזרא ואילך, שאין בתי דינין יושבין אלא
בכל יום.
בכל יום, אלא בשני וחמישי.
It's בשני ובחמישי.
בשני ובחמישי. אבל קודם תקנת עזרא שבתי דינין יושבין בכל יום, אישה נישאת בכל יום.
Very good. Okay, that's a statement. Okay, let's read the statement together, the three of us. Okay. אמר רב שמואל בר יצחק אמר רב לא שנו אלא מתקנת עזרא ואילך שאין בתי דינים יושבים בכל יום אלא בשני ובחמישי. אבל קודם תקנת עזרא שבתי דינים יושבים בכל יום אישה נישאת בכל יום. Okay, that's it. That's the thing. So first of all, lo shanu. What does lo shanu mean? When they said the Mishnah, kesheshanu et Mishnah, right? When the Mishnah says, betulani said leyom revi'i. That part of the Mishnah. That part of the Mishnah appears to be in all circumstances. It says that's the law. Betulani said leyom revi'i. It says no. This that the Mishnah says Betulani said Liyom Revi'i is a latter addition. Originally there was no law. They said some of the laws we have an ancient Kabbalah from Halacha Moshe Sinai, Kabbalah Moshe Sinai, right? Ancient Piyat Shemuah. Here this is Mitekanat Ezra. Now when did Ezra HaSofer live? Who was Ezra HaSofer? Something about Ezra HaSofer. So we know the Beit HaMikdash was destroyed. First Beit HaMikdash was destroyed. Ezra HaSofer was the one who reestablished the Jewish governance in Yerushalayim. And when he returned to Yerushalayim, he didn't return alone. He returned with many of the great Hachamim. And he established Anshe Knesset HaGedolah. Anshe Knesset HaGedolah was the re-establishment of the Supreme Court of Israel. The reason, so why isn't it just called the Supreme Court, but Bet Din Gadol or Sanhedrin? Because it was the largest Supreme Court ever constituted, right? And not only the largest, but also it had great Hachamim. So in Anshe Knesset HaGedolah, you have the three Nevi'im who are in Trei Asaf. Haggai, Zechariah, Malachi. We studied those books. Haggai, Malachi, Zechariah were in Anshe Knesset HaGedolah. Mordechai, the famous Mordechai, from the story of Esther HaMalkah. They were he was one of the people that returned to Eretz Israel, Anshe Knesset HaGedolah.
How many Dayanim were in this 15?
120. Total of 120. Hananiah, Mishael, Azariah, the famous Hananiah, Mishael, Azariah, that they were thrown into burning fire. Daniel. Okay. So Anshe Knesset HaGedolah composed many of the great Hachamim. Now, this law of the Mishnah is somehow connected with Ezra. What did Ezra Sofer do? So, Ezra Sofer, he established that the Batei Dinim would sit on Monday and Thursday. Meaning, this is that we have the custom that Monday and Thursday is a day of commerce, and it's a day that the farmers used to come with their produce to the cities and sell their produce to the cities. And therefore it's also the day that the Batei Dinim Yoshavim, because naturally that's when there's going to be business disputes. So you see the connection? Now, why did they choose Monday and Thursday? Because Moshe Rabbeinu tiken that you read the Torah Monday and Thursday. So because Moshe Rabbeinu tiken that you read the Torah Monday and Thursday, now you live in a small village, there's no Baal Koreh to read the Torah. What are you going to do? So they would come to the city to hear the Kriyat Torah. And that's when they did the business that they would bring their produce with them. You understand the idea?
Yeah.
So comes Ezra Sofer and he says that's the day that the Bet Din is going to sit. Before that, and this is an important point, I'm going to save you like some of the explanations, the back and forth that they say, but I'm just going to give you the correct explanation. Before that, Batei Dinim Yoshavim Bechol Yom. What does it mean Batei Dinim Yoshavim Bechol Yom? They could sit on any day. We don't know exactly what day they would sit. Sometimes they sit on Tuesday, sometimes they sit on Thursday, sometimes they sit on Friday. Batei Dinim Yoshavim Bechol Yom. came Ezra Sofer and realized you need to give people foreseeability. If you're a litigant, you need to go to the knock on the bet din. Yes, who is it? Please come in. You can't come to the bet din. One day they're sitting, one day they're not sitting. I don't know when they're sitting. I don't know when they are sitting. They have to be available at set times. So Ezra Sofer was the one who said שבתי דינים יושבים בשני ובחמישי. You understand?
Yeah.
That was his institution. So you see how it all fits. The Kiryat HaTorah is בשני ובחמישי. That's Yom HaKenisa. Yom HaKenisa, the day that the Kefanim, they come into the cities to sell their produce, and but the Tinim Yoshevim Bashani Ubachamishi. So now, I'm going to read, I can read the statement again, and let's explain it. Amar Rav Shmuel bar Yitzchak Amar
אמר רב שמואל בר יצחק, אמר רב לא שנו אלא מתקנת עזרא ואילך שאין בתי דין יושבים בכל יום אלא בשני ובחמישי.
Okay, this that we're saying that Betula Niset Leyom Revi'i is connected with Takanat Ezra. Meaning, if you lived before Takanat Ezra, it wouldn't make any sense to say Betula Niset Leyom Revi'i. Why would you say Betula Niset Leyom Revi'i? Before Takanat Ezra, but they didn't more necessarily sitting on Thursday.
Yeah.
You understand the point? It's a very so the when Rabbeinu Hakadosh edited the Mishnah, let's say, whatever the source for this law is, Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Yaakov, whoever the source for the law is, this law was intimately connected with the law of Ezra HaSofer, but before the law of Ezra HaSofer, they wouldn't have Betula Niset Yom Revi'i. It would make no sense. You understand? Aval kodem Takanat Ezra, that's what we're saying. Before Takanat Ezra, Shevatei Dinim Kibuim Bechol Yom, Isha Niset Bechol Yom. Before Takanat Ezra, where the bet din could be sitting on any given day, the woman can marry on any given day. You understand the point?
So it sounds like back then they wouldn't even schedule the marriage around when the bet din was sitting. Because they didn't know.
Well, I mean,
it was different.
or alternatively, it could be that every city had their own system.
Okay.
Maybe you go into this city, oh, they do it on Tuesday. Maybe that city, they sit on, I don't know, Wednesday. Maybe that city, Thursday. Right? It could be. But the point is, there would be no Wednesday rule.
Okay.
The Wednesday rule only applies if there's a Monday-Thursday rule. If there's a rule that Monday-Thursday the bet din sits, then there's a rule that Wednesday the woman gets married. Betula, at least. Betula, he said. But if there's no Monday, Thursday bet din rule, then no. Maybe they sit on Sundays or get married on. Well, yeah, I don't know how you get married Saturday night. Okay, but you understand the point?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the point. That's a statement of Rav Shemuel bar Yitzchak in the name of Rav. Okay. The Gemara is going to ask a question on that statement. Shlomo, read. קודם תקנת עזרא.
קודם תקנת עזרא, מאי דהו...
מאי דהבה הווה.
מאי דהבה הווה.
Okay, explain the question. קודם תקנת עזרא, מאי דהבה הווה.
Before the takana... I don't know.
What did we say? We said that קודם תקנת עזרא, what was the law?
Whenever they want.
We get married whenever they want. So the Gemara said, Ike, do you understand the question?
They're just going to get married whenever they want. There's no structure.
No, מאי דהבה הווה. What does it mean, מאי דהבה
I
הווה?
don't know how that means.
Hava. So he's saying, you're telling me, big chidush, that before Takanat Ezra, this law of Wednesday didn't apply. Who cares? Okay, Ella, isn't there like a French expression, que sera, sera, or something? No, like what happened, happened.
Yeah.
No, what happened, happened. There's some sort of...
Yeah.
Right, que sera, sera.
Mm.
What are you telling me? You're telling me that before Ezra Sofer, there wasn't this law. Who cares? Yani, what's the purpose? Like we just telling me history. You understand? That's what Maite Haba Haba. Maite Haba Haba means Mashe Haya. Like, what are you giving me? Popamaisa stories. You understand the question?
Yeah.
Okay. Like, what are you're going out of your way telling us this big thing. Maite Haba Haba. Okay. All right, so hold on one second. All right, 1 second, I just lost the place. Okay, read the answer. Shlomo.
אחי כאמר.
Achi ka'amar.
אחי כאמר.
Achi ka'amar means we're not changing the words. Achi ka'amar literally means kacha hu amar. we're not changing his language. We're explaining the intention of his language. Sometimes a person says one thing, and another individual understands it in the wrong way. It happens, and then there's miscommunications, and there's fights. It says, Hachi ka'amar. Hachi ka'amar means this is the intention of Rav Shemuel bar Yitzchak. Read it. Hachi ka'amar.
אחי כאמר, איכה בתי דינין קובעין,
I'ika batetinin dikvu'in ha'idana.
העידנה כקודם תקנת עזרא,
Kekodem tekanat Ezra. Read it again. I'm going to read it once. Listen to the way I'm reading it. I'ika batedinim dikvu'in ha'idana. Kekodem tekanat Ezra. Read it.
איכה בתי דינין דקבועין,
Dikvu'in
דקבועין, העידנה
ha'idana.
כקודם תקנת עזרא,
Isha, let's have the whole yom.
בכל יום.
Okay, that's the answer. All right. Let's all read it. Aiki, read it. I'ika batedinim.
איכה בתדינים דקבועין העידנה כקודם תקנת עזרא אישה נישאת בכל יום.
Okay, very good. All right. Let me explain this. Achikama, this was his intention. If today we have a situation of batedinim kebu'im, ha'idana means in our time, right? In our time, ha'idana, in our time. If we have a situation that the batedinim are kebu'im in our time, kekodem tekanat Ezra, as it was in the days before Takarat Ezra, meaning the bedding could be sitting on Monday or Tuesday or Thursday or Wednesday. If you have a situation today like it was a situation before Takarat Ezra, Ishani said Bechol Yom. In that case, the Takana of Betulani said Yom Revi would not apply because it wouldn't make any sense. You understand? Shlomo, do you understand or no?
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to make sure you understand.
One more time.
Okay.
It's what-
Why do we need to know what the law was before Takanat Ezra? What do I care? It's history. Oh, we need to know. Because today we can have a situation, we can have a place where the Batei Dinim don't sit on Monday and Thursday. We can have a place where the situation is like what's called Takanat Ezra. Maybe in this place they sit on Thursday. Maybe there is no set time. Maybe the Betin sits every day. Right? So if you have a situation where today, where it's like it was in the days before Takanat Ezra, then the law of Wednesday wouldn't apply. Right? You understand? Because it wouldn't make any sense. You understand the logic?
Yeah.
Again, the logic is, why do we have Betulani said Liyom Revi'i? Because of Takanat Ezra. But if it's not Takanat Ezra, the Betin is not going to be sitting on Thursday anyway. Or maybe the Betin sits on Wednesday and Thursday, or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Then I don't have to do it, Dafka, get married on Wednesday. The Betin is sitting on Tuesday, I'll get married on Monday. I don't know. You understand?
Yeah.
Right? So read it again. Read it and explain the answer, Aiki.
הכי כאמר איכה בתדינים דקבועין העידנה כקודם תקנת עזרא אישה נישאת בכל יום.
Explain it.
This is what's initially we had the question. What's the reason that we're even mentioning why what happened before Takanat Ezra? It's irrelevant. The reason it's relevant is because you might have a situation where you might have, let's say, a small village where the Batei Dinim there don't sit on Monday and Thursday.
Yes.
And we don't know when they sit, but besides the point. So we have to know what the law was back then to know how to apply it to today's situation.
Exactly, correct. Give me a 1 minute break. So to summarize, when you read the Mishnah, Betulani said Leyom Revi'i, it seems like it's a category, look, just says Betulani said Leyom Revi'i. No conditions. Comes Rav Shmuel bar Yitzchak and he says, no. This takana of the Mishnah, that Betulani said Leyom Revi'i, is dependent on another takana of Ezra Sofer, the Batei Dinim Yoshevim b'Sheni u'B'Chamishi. But if you don't have the takana of Ezra Sofer, one city doesn't have, for example, Brooklyn, there's no takana of Ezra Sofer in Brooklyn. Right? Doesn't exist, right? So therefore the law of Betulani said Leyom Revi'i doesn't exist in Brooklyn. You understand? Brooklyn is a great example. All right? Now, I want to ask you a question. We have a kelal, and it's a very important kelal, and this is one of the mahlokot with the Ashkenazim. Sephardim say that when the Chachamim make a gezerah, even if the reason for the gezerah is batel, the Gezerah stays. I'll give you an example. The Hachamim Gazru that it's forbidden to shave on Chol HaMoed. There's no issue to shave on Chol HaMoed. It's not melacha. It's not. It's a person wants to shave. No, you can't shave on Chol HaMoed. Why? So the Gemara in Moed Katan, the 3rd chapter says, Hachamim Gazru that you can't shave on Chol HaMoed. So like that, everybody has to shave before the holiday, and they come into the holiday nicely shaven with a good haircut. Otherwise, people know Chol HaMoed, I'm not working anyway. Perfect time to get a haircut. I'll get my haircut on Chol HaMoed. So Hachamim said, no shaving on Chol HaMoed. That's it. Okay. Today, people shave every day. By telling people not to shave on Chol HaMoed, it has the opposite effect. Everybody is like, thick beards, they come into by the time the second holiday, everybody's like, menuvali, right? So, but lahatam, the original Gezerah was, we didn't want people to coming in to the Moed with unshaven, rough beards. But today, mamash batla hatam, we would say batla hatam, batla Gezerah, right? Yes. If the original reason was batel, then the Gezerah should be batel. Shela was very mahmir on that point. He says, no, we don't say batla hatam, we say batla hatam, lo batla Gezerah. That if the tam is batel, the Gezerah is omed. A great example is cheese. Some Ashkenazi rabbis wanted to say that today, since you make cheese, let me explain the Gezerah of cheese. Cheese is 100% kosher. Why should cheese be not kosher? It's milk. What's the issue? There's no issue in cheese. There's no possible non-kosher thing in cheese. But what happened with cheese? They used to make the cheese, they used to make it in the stomach of a non-kosher, of an animal that didn't do shahita. So the goyim that kill the cow, they don't do shahita on the cow, they take out the stomach, let's say, egel, a young cow. And then they would put the milk inside that stomach. Now that stomach is not kosher, obviously, right? It's a nevela, they didn't do shahita on the animal. So the milk is not kosher. The cheese is not kosher. All right, but today, that's why they said cheese is not kosher. That's the reason. The reason they said cheese of a goy is not kosher is because sometimes it would be ma'amidim, make the cheese in the stomach. Not all the time. Sometimes they just take out the chemical inside the stomach and put it in the milk. So that was also a way to do it. Today, who makes goy cheese in the stomach of an animal? Everything's chemicals today. So therefore it should be batla hatam u batla gezerah. Right? The original reasoning for the gezerah is batel, and some Ashkenazi rabbis said that batla hatam u batla gezerah. So they say, for example, you can have non-kosher pizza. With the Sephardim, very mahmini, we always say batla hatam lo batla gezerah. The gezerah does not depend upon the tam, and therefore cheese is forbidden. Cheese of goyim is forbidden, even if you know that they made it with some chemical, and therefore there's no problem of kevat nevela. Doesn't matter. This is an important kelal in Pesach halacha. There are some exceptions. Baruch atah Adonai. There are some exceptions. I'll give you an example. There's a great Chacham called Rabbi Chizkiah de Silva. Rabbi Chizkiah de Silva, he is known as a Peri Hadash. Peri Hadash, if you look at the word Hadash, the letters Hadash, Chizkiah, Chet, De, right, the Dalet, De, Silva, Sin, right? So Rabbi Chizkiah de Silva. So the Peri Hadash is Rabbi Chizkiah de Silva. He has a Perush on the Shulchan Aruch, very well known. He was a Sephardi Chacham. He once went to Amsterdam. And the question was, because there's a gezerah, that it's forbidden to have halav shel nochri. So halav shehalabon nochri, halav shehalabon nochri, ve'en Yisrael ro'ehu. It's forbidden to have milk that was, what's the word? Halabon, when you milk a cow. So the goy milked the cow, and there wasn't a Jew there to make sure that the milk actually comes from the cow. Because what they used to do is they used to milk non-kosher animals, and it was cheaper, and they would mix it into the milk. And this is cow milk, but it had like donkey milk or something. What? Or camel. They had the Arabs did camel milk. Yeah. So what happened is, Hamim said, that's it. Halav shehalavo nochri ve'en Yisrael ro'eu. If you have the milk of a goy, and the Jew didn't see that he was milking it, it's haram. So they came to the Hizkiah the Silva. He once went to visit Amsterdam, and they wanted to know whether they can have the milk in Amsterdam. It's halav shel nochri, she'en Yisrael ro'eu, which apparently is haram, right? He said no. He says it's mutar. Now, what's the reason it's mutar? He said because in Amsterdam there was no halab behema teme'ah. Interesting. There was no halab behema teme'ah. A similar law came to America. Can you have milk in America? We buy milk. You have to have an OU on the milk. It says cow milk. So they say no, you can have it. Why? Because since in America, if you put donkey milk in your cow milk, you get penalized. So that's probably a crime. They probably send the guy to jail. Who knows what they'll do to the guy? You can't do that. You can't sell cow milk which actually has donkey milk in it. So for that reason, most of the poskim say it's mutar, including shteda. Now I want to explain this. Now what happened to batlah hatam or lo batlah gezerah? The answer is you have to look at the lashon of the Gemara and understand the way the Gemara brought the Gezerah. When the Gemara brought the Gezerah halab akum, they brought it specifically in a situation where the halab of behemat teme'ah is cheaper, and the reason they're diluting the milk is because you save money. This is cow milk, but you really have some cheap garbage donkey milk in it. Lemashal. If you live in a place where by putting in the donkey milk, A, donkey milk is more expensive in America, and B, if you did that, you would get penalized, that the Gezerah doesn't apply. Not because Batlah Gezerah, because when they made the Gezerah in the first place, it wasn't made in that situation. Okay?
Okay.
Any questions? Go ahead.
Not to get into too deeply.
No, we can. Please.
Can't you say the same thing about cheese?
Okay, fair enough.
They make cheese in a cow's stomach.
Right, yeah, I understand.
It's going to cost more money and they're going to get penalized.
Right. So the answer is that when you study the Gemara in Masechet Avodah Zarah, the Gezerah not to have Gevinat Akum was categoric. It was categoric. But when you study the Gemara related to Halab Akum, the way they study the Gemara, Shdeda and Rabbi Hizkiah the Silva and other Chachamim, it appears from the Gemara itself that they were talking that the Gezerah, the actual Gezerah, not to have milk of a goy, was only in a situation where the milk of the non-kosher animal is cheaper. So you have to study it. I mean, we're not being dogmatic. It's not like, batla tam lo batla gezerah, and that's it. You have to study the sugyot and understand. Is there a gezerah in the case where, for example, in America, the guy's going to get penalized, right, for putting non-kosher thing? So the answer is the gezerah didn't even exist. There was no gezerah in that situation. The original gezerah applies. It's true. Like, for example, when I go to Spain, I wouldn't have milk in Spain. Because the original gezerah applies. And in Spain, they have a lot of donkey milk. I think donkey or pig, I don't know what they have. In Machshema, Spaniards.
So you would go to a coffee shop in Spain?
I would, yeah, it would be a problem.
Would you check?
I would check. Once I went to Corfu, and I checked, and I corroborated that it was, that there were, I asked, do you have any cow, like other types of milk? Like I want to know, like if they sell like donkey milk or pig milk. And they looked at the guy's measure and said, the only milk we have here is cow. What are you talking about? So but the point is, more importantly, is as follows. What about here? What are we saying here? Rav Shmuel bar Yitzchak is saying, Batlah hatam, Batlah hagezerah. Isn't that what he's saying?
Yeah.
Think about it. He's saying, there's a gezerah. The gezerah is betulah niset yom revi'i. He says no. When do we say gezerah niset yom revi'i? Only if takanat ezra ve'ilach. But if you're a place where there is no takanat ezra, betulah niset whenever she wants. What happened to batlah hatam lo batlah gezerah? We should tell Rav Shmuel bar Yitzchak, thank you very much. The Chachamim made a takana or gezerah, whatever takana, that she has to be get married on Wednesday. That's a takana. Why are you saying no? Takana doesn't apply. It only applies me מתקנת עזרא ואילך. Our takana is dependent on that takana. You understand the question? Why don't we say batla? Whatever do, I think we say faradim. We say batla hatam, lo batla gezerah.
Right.
We tell our Shimon bar Yitzchak, mechila, I'm sorry, no, batla hatam, lo batla gezerah. Where do you come up saying that that if the takanat Ezra doesn't apply, then this takanat doesn't apply? It's logical, but we don't. That's not the way we make the Pesach, right? So I want you to read the. I want to explain it to you, and you're going to see. And this answers your question. Remember, you asked me before. How do we know that in the case of halav akum, batla hatam batla gezerah? In the case of givinat akum, batla hatam lo batla gezerah. Right? In halav akum, batal hatam batel gezerah. I'm sorry, I misspoke. Like you're saying, how do we know? And I said you have to study the Gemara closely. And based on that, you can reach the conclusions. Here, I'm going to give you an example.
Okay.
So here we're saying, batla hatam, batla gezerah. I mean, first of all, Rav Shemuel bar Yitzchak is saying so. But what gives him the right to say so? You understand the question? So it's very important, and I'm going to explain it to you now. Where is the Mishnah? Right. Give me my iPad, please. There.
Where is it?
It's on the bottom under.
Yes.
What is the basis for Rav to say that the takana in our Mishnah is batel if we don't follow the takana of Ezra? We usually say batla hatam lo batla gezerah. Here we're saying batal hatam. The tam was Ezra sofer the batei dinim yoshvim b'yom chamishi, and therefore batel gezerah. So I'm going to explain the basis, and it's as follows. There's a Mishnah that speaks about a person who's shochet hayav ha'of b'yom tov. Now the problem with hayav ha'of, you're allowed to do shechita. There's no problem with the shechita. The problem here is that when you do shechita of a haya or an off, haya is like a non-domesticated animal, not a cow, not a sheep, not a goat. A chaya would be like
Fox.
No, fox is not kosher.
I don't know what we're talking about.
Like a giraffe,
Kosher. Got it.
a wildebeest, a buffalo, a bison. So a person makes shahita on a chaya or an antelope. Let's be more. Nobody's doing shahita on a bison. Elohim Yishmor. Why? Okay. An antelope. Okay. Or ibex. They have the ibex in the Judean desert. Beautiful animals. That's a good example. Hashohet chaya, da'of, or a bird. If you make shahita on a chicken. The problem is that you have to make kisui hadam. Right? You have to make kisui hadam. Now on Yom Tov, you're not allowed to dig dirt on Yom Tov, so you have to have the dirt ready, right? So there's a Mishnah in Masechet Besa. It says Hashochet hayav ha'of b'Yom Tov. You're going to do shachita on Yom Tov. So according to Bet Shammai, they say Yachpor b'deket v'chaseh. You can dig on Yom Tov. You can dig the dirt on Yom Tov and do kisui adam. But Hillel omnim lo yishchot. They say no. You can't.
Really?
You can't, because how are you gonna do kisui hadam? You're mevatel misvat aseh deoraita.
That's interesting. But Shammai says you can dig.
You may not.
Oh, but Shammai says you may or may not.
Oh no, I'm sorry, Mechila. I misspoke. But Shammai says you may do shachita, and then you'll just dig the dirt that you need on Yom Tov, and use that dirt to do kisui hadam. But Hillel says lo yishchot, because they say Ela im ken haya lo afar muchan. They say unless you had the soil was ready before Yom Tov, and now when you do shachita, you can do kisui hadam with the soil that you have ready.
Mm-hmm.
So if im haya lo afar muchan, it's fine. Yes, till now clear?
Yeah.
Simple? Okay, good. One second. Okay, one second. Mishnah, by the way, is in Masechet Pesach, Perek Aleph. I think halacha. Where is it? Gimel. Right? Oh no. Halacha Bet. I'm sorry. Okay. So again, Bet Shammai says no problem. Bet Hillel says no, you can't. Ela im ken haya lo afar muchan be'od yom. Umodim she'im shachat she'yachpor b'deker v'chased. Bet Shammai agrees that if a person did shachita and suddenly says, "Oi, how do I do kisui hadam?" They agree that you're allowed to yachpor b'deker v'chased because you can't be mevatel misvat ased oraita. But they say in the first situation, if you already have the shovel inside the ground, not under all situation. If the shovel is already inside the ground, since the main thing of the Yisur is to put the shovel in the ground, now you're just taking it out, so they say it's allowed. She'efer kira mukhanhu. She'efer kira mukhanhu means as follows. Umodim, that you can do shahita, she'efer kira mukhanhu. It means that if you have a oven, kira is an oven, and on the bottom of the oven you have the ashes, you can do the kisur adam with the ashes. So it says she'efer kira mukhanhu. What does it mean she'efer kira mukhanhu? The sheen here means ka'asher. The sheen usually means because or there, right? Here the sheen means ka'asher efer kira mukhanhu, meaning you can do shahita on Yom Tov if you have the efer kira, which is mukhan to do kisur hadam with, right? They say you can do shahita on Yom Tov. So here you see the sheen means ka'asher, right? The word, the sheen in Hebrew doesn't always mean ka'asher, but here it means ka'asher. There's another example in Masechet Sanhedrin, Perek Aleph, Mishnah Halacha Aleph. Also there it says, Mosi Shemra mepene she, wait, I forgot where it was. Yeah. Sheyesh bo dinei nefashot. So there, the sheyesh bo dinei nefashot, also Perek Aleph, Halacha Aleph, it's, the sheen there means ka'asher yesh bo dinei nefashot. So read the Mishnah, Aiki, and explain to me the Mishnah. Read the Mishnah. Betula Niset. Betula Niset Liyom Revi'i, right? The original Mishnah. The original Mishnah, at the beginning, at the very, very beginning. Read the Mishnah.
בתורה נישאת ליום רביעי והמנה ליום החמישי, שפעמיים בשבת.
What is she'pa'amayim b'Shabbat? So normally you say because pa'amayim b'Shabbat, right? What is she'pa'amayim b'Shabbat? She means ka'asher.
Interesting.
You understand?
Yeah.
You understand how Rav Shemuel Bar Yitzchak understands the Mishnah?
Right.
You think the she'pa'amayim b'Shabbat means because pa'amayim b'Shabbat b'tei dinim yoshvim. No. Ka'asher pa'amayim b'Shabbat b'tei dinim yoshvim. So you see, that's hidush. So you see explicitly. So you see again, if you were looking at this superficially, you would say, oh, batla tam batla gezerah. This is proof. Batla tam batla gezerah. Rav Shemuel Bar, I'm sorry, Rav Yitzchak Bar.
Rav Shemuel Bar Yitzchak.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, 1 second. Rav Shemuel Bar Yitzchak apparently believes, or Rav apparently believes, batla tam batla gezerah. No. The Mishnah made itself conditional on Takanat Ezra. She pa'amayim b'Shabbat, ka'asher pa'amayim b'Shabbat, meaning ka'asher ish Takanat Ezra, then yesh et adin shel betula niset yom revi'i. You understand?
Wow. Yeah.
Fantastic, no? Great, Perush. Shlomo, Avanta?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, I'm back. So then we had the one question. So what was the one question, Aiki? Kodem Takanat Ezra ma'de haba, and the answer was no. It's halcha l'maaseh liyamenu.
Oh yes.
Right. Okay. Now I can read the next question. So on the statement of Rav Shemuel Bar Yitzchak, we have only 2 questions. So question number 1 was my dehava hava. Answer no. It's relevant to our days. Right? Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
Brooklyn. There's no takanat ezra. Nobody follows takanat ezra in Brooklyn. Right? So therefore, betulan said b'chol yom. Read the second question.
Haba'enan
shakedu.
shakedu.
What does it mean? Shalomo haba'enan shakedu.
What? The Lishkod?
What does it mean? Haba'enan shakedu.
I don't know.
Haba'enan shakedu. Do you have the place?
Yeah. No.
No.
You have it? Haba'enan shakedu. So if you don't understand it, say I don't understand it. Do you understand the question? Haba'enan shakedu. Do you understand the question?
No.
So the problem is, you're telling me that b'yamenu, if you're in a place where there's no takanat ezra, in shani said b'chol yom. Isn't that what we just said?
Yeah.
What happened to the law of shakedu? Didn't we have a law of shakedu
Right.
that the woman can't get married on Sunday because we want them to shakedu hachamim al tekanat benot Yisrael? Didn't we say that? So how can you say she can get married any day, right? Haba enan shakedu. The answer, read it, Aiki. So it's detariach la.
לתריח לה.
Right, detariach la, because it's the husband who's toreach for the wife. La. It's not, he's not toreach for himself, he's toreach for her. So the older Girsot is detariach. By the way, when I'm telling you the correct signs, I'm not chasveshon changing the Girsot. I'm telling you what the old Kippeyat have, right? So detariach la, okay? Detariach la, so we say no. When do we say, Betulani said, Bechol Yom? We mean, obviously, subject to the fact that he has to be toreach and make a proper seudah, a 3-day preparation. But if he made the 3-day preparation, then there's no problem. I understand the tariach la, yes?
So if he did make the 3-day
Right,
preparation...
meaning from what we just studied from Rav Nachman, Rav Shemuel Bar Yitzchak, we just studied that Betulani said Bechol Yom, if there's no takanat Ezra.
Yeah.
What about shakedu? Answer? The tariach la.
Okay.
What does that mean?
Which means that what if you already put in the effort? Meaning if you
The tariach la means that he prepared 3 days. Nobody's touching that law.
Okay.
Nobody's touching the law of shakedu. You must prepare 3 days. And ilachila man, therefore the wedding should not be on Sunday. Because you can't, there's no 3 days to prepare. So the tariach la, right? But the point is that the original law of dafka on Wednesday, that's subject to the original takana of Ezra Sofer.
Okay.
But if you're in a place that Ezra Sofer is not, there is no takana of Ezra Sofer, then there is no takana of Wednesday. Oh, what about shakedu? Oh, you're right, shakedu. We're not going against shakedu. Nobody's going against shakedu.
You can't get married in a day because you can't get married.
Because you have to make a proper seudah, you have to make a proper preparation. Exactly.
So
correct.
You prepare, let's say Saturday night, Sunday, Monday, and then Tuesday.
Exactly. Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Shakedu, okay, so this is this first part. This is the first part of the sugya. We're going to see the sugya has many parts. Okay, and I'm mapping it out. I still haven't finished mapping it out, but I believe that this is going to be what I would call a sugya hamusha, because it's a 5-part sugya. I've seen the number 5 repeat itself over and over in the sugya. I don't know exactly how it's going to turn out, but I've seen 5 all the time 5. So I think it's something to do with 5. This first part that we just read was an introduction. Let me explain to you what's happening. They want to examine we're now going to bring the Tosefta. The Gemara wants to examine this Tosefta, right? They want to examine this Tosefta because it's a lot of halakha le'maaseh, and it's related to our Mishnah, so they want to examine it. So they use the statement of Rav Shemuel Bar Yitzchak as a pretext or as an excuse to bring the Tosefta. You see how it works? Rav Shemuel Bar Yitzchak says the law of Lo Shanu, Ela mitakanat Ezra ve'ilach. And then we asked, Mai shakedu? I'm sorry, then we said, what about the law of, Haba enan shakedu? And then that's going to be an excuse. Say, tell me more about shakedu. As long as we're talking about shakedu, can we discuss that? We haven't discussed that yet. So the real purpose of the sugya was to bring us into the law of shakedu. We want to have a full discussion. So they brought the statement that was made in surah. They brought that statement sort of as an introduction to our sugya. It's like an opening salvo. Right? It's like a peticha, like you're doing a nice peticha, and then from the peticha you go into the song. So the point of the peticha was to sing the song. Like you're doing Ozreni elachai lehacheniya. So before maybe you'll do like Ya Eli, Ya Eli, Ya Eli. The purpose of the Ya Eli is not the Ya Eli, it's to get into Ozreni elachai. You understand? So here, the statement of Rav Nachman Shemuel Bar Yitzchak, Rav Shemuel Bar Yitzchak, a beautiful statement, a very important law. I'm not saying that's not important, but that was used as a peticha to bring us into shakedu.
Got it.
You understand? That's a shakedu. All right? So we want to discuss shakedu. So we use this kind of as a peticha. The tariach. What about the law of shakedu? Haba enan shakedu. The tariach la. Let's talk about shakedu. So now the main sugya is going to be about shakedu.
Okay.
And that's it. So now we're going to bring a tosefta. So this is a peticha. The peticha is over. Peticha is over. Now this is I would call this the first part of the sugya, because the peticha I'm putting as a peticha. This is now the first part of the sugya. Ma'isha kedu. This part is going to be, it's going to bring the Tosefta. Which Tosefta? The Tosefta on our Mishnah. Right, our Mishnah, we said, let me explain to you. So Rabbeinu HaKadosh, he edited the Mishnayot. Rabbeinu HaKadosh of Bet Dino. It was a gathering of great Chachamim, and they accepted the Mishnayot. And I explained to you previously, and when you were little boys, I think Shlomo, you probably were a baby. I don't know if you were following anything. When we studied Yigedet Sheri but Aki, you were probably a little boy, maybe 5, 6 years. I don't know how old you are. When we studied Yigedet Sheri Friday night, do you remember studying Yigedet Sheri
Give me some more context.
Like about the history. It was in Aramaic, very difficult Aramaic, about the history of the Mishnayot and the Gemara. And I remember the Sammy and Sammy used to come every Friday night. We finished the whole thing. We ended up finishing it exactly Erev Rosh Hashanah, Shabbat Erev Rosh Hashanah. As we finished it, we realized that he got a Shiragon at the end. He says that it was Erev Rosh Hashanah that he finished it. It was crazy. It was like a crazy coincidence.
Crazy.
Yeah. It really was crazy. I was like, Mamash, like, whoa.
Was this in Sifin?
It was in Sifin, yeah. In the Ranana. Okay.
I remember Sammy and Sammy coming, so I must remember that era.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So be that as it may, he says, and Shteta talks about this in the Golden Doves, that when Rabbeinu HaKadosh edited the Mishnah, it was super, super, super dense. And oftentimes he would sacrifice clarity for density. Because people studied the Mishnah Be'al Peh. That's how it was transmitted. It was transmitted Be'al Peh. So what his Talmid Haver, we said that his Talmid Haver was Rabbi Hiya. You remember the uncle of Rav?
Yeah.
Was the Talmid Haver of Rabbeinu HaKadosh. Right? The uncle of Rav was Rabbi Hiya. And remember I said that when Rav came from Babel to Eretz Israel to study with Rabbeinu HaKadosh, and his uncle Rabbi Hiya was the Talmid Haver of Rav. So Talmid Haver means he's not just a student, but he's a student that is mosif to the teacher, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what did Rabbi Hiya do? And that's a story I told you. Remember the other day I told you the story that when Rav came from Babel to Eretz Israel, Rabbi Hiya says, Abba Kayam, and then Rav says, Ima Kayemet, and then Rabbi Hiya says, Ima Kayemet, and then Rav says, Abba Kayam. So what happened is that there was a person called Rabbi Aha. He had a son called Aibu. His wife died, but he had a son called Ahu. And then there was another woman who had a daughter, whatever, let's call the daughter Rachel, I don't know. So Rabbi Aha and this woman got married. And according to Halakha, if a father marries a woman, the child of the father is allowed to marry the daughter of that woman, right? Obviously, they're not brothers or sisters. So they married each other. And they had a son called Rav. Meanwhile, Rabbi Aha and that woman had a son called Rabbi Hiya. So Rabbi Hiya was the uncle of Rav, both from his mother's side and his father's side. It's a crazy, how could that possibly be?
Yeah.
And so Rabbi Hiya was the son of Rabbi Aha and that woman, and therefore Rabbi Hiya's brother was Aibu, and Rabbi Hiya's half-brother was Aibu, and Rabbi Hiya's half-sister was the daughter of that woman, whatever her name was. And when they married, this brother and this half-brother, half-sister, they weren't at all. They were neither half nor not. When they married, they had a son called Rav. So Rav's uncle, okay, so he says, Abba Kayam Mechila, just 1 second. So Rav's mother was the Bichia's half-sister, and the Rav's father was the Bichia's half-brother. So when the Bichia is saying Abba Kayam, he's asking about his brother. So he says Abba Kayam, so he doesn't want to say, no, your father died. I'm sorry. He's the Bichia is saying Abba Kayam, your father Rav, which is my brother. This is what the Bichia is saying. Your father, my brother. How's your father doing? Like, is everything okay? Is he alive? So Rav is going to say he died. It was his brother. So instead he says, why don't you ask about your mother? Ask about my mother. which is Rabbi Chia's sister. So he says, Ima Kayemet. So he says, okay, I'll ask you about I'll ask you about your mom. I'll ask you about your mom, my sister. So he says, Ima Kayemet. He says, why don't you ask about your my father? So he understood Rabbi Chia that that they died. They were both dead. Right? That's a story. There's a famous story with Rab when he came to Eretz Yisrael to study Torah with Rabbeinu HaKadosh. Right? Anyway, so all right. So now what happened is Rabbeinu HaKadosh, he edited the Mishnah. Rabbi Chia, he edited the Tosefta. So the Tosefta is almost like a perush. It's not a perush in the classical sense, but it looks just like the Mishnayot, but it's expanded. It's an expanded version of the Mishnah. So the Tosefta helps us understand the Mishnah. Kasha Mishnah satam et devarim. Everything was very dense. The Tosefta is more open, is more detailed. So when you read the Tosefta, it's kind of a commentary on the Mishnah. You understand?
Yeah.
Let me show you the Tosefta. So this is a Tosefta on Seder Nashim. So you see, it doesn't do every single Mishnah, but it looks just like the Mishnayot. You see? See the Tosefta? This is a Lieberman edition, which is the best edition there is. Alright, so you see, מפני מה אמרו בתולה נישאת ליום רביעי, שבא טענת בתולים היה משכים לבתים, כן תבצע לך השבת, and then he has like a whole expanded מפני מה פרישי את החתן, okay. So that's a Tosefta. So this that I tell that we're reading where it says V'tanya, it's actually the Tosefta, this Tosefta that I just showed you. So let's read it now. Mai shakedu. So this is the first part of the sugya. We have the Peticha, and now we have the first part of the sugya. Mai shakedu. Aiki, you want to read?
Sure. So
now we're going to bring the Tosefta that I showed you from Masechet Ketuvot, the first Tosefta, which is an expansion of our Mishnah. Mai shakedu. What is shakedu? What is shakedu? What is the source? What is the source for shakedu? Right?
Yeah.
1 second. Right? Yeah. What is the source for shakedu? Chavod.
נתניה. לפני מה אמרו בתולה נישאת ליום רביעי?
Right. So it was Layom Revi'i.
רביעי. Right.
What's the reason? Shalom, explain the Tosefta. Go ahead, explain it. Explain
the question?
Explain what we're reading. It's a question, yes.
Why did it say that they should get married Yom Revi?
The Mishnah says, "Betula niset Yom Revi." Madua.
Yeah.
Okay. You read, you explain. Chavod, read.
שאם היה לו טענת בתולים, הם משקיעים לבית-דין.
Explain, Shlomo.
If he has a ta'anat betulim, he goes to betim, right?
Exactly. Because it's if he gets married on Wednesday night is going to be with her. And if there's a Tanat Betulim, by Thursday morning, he would know. And then Thursday morning, he would go to the Betin. Okay.
ותנסה באחד בשבת.
ותנסה באחד בשבת. אם היה לו Tanat Betulim, היה משכים לבתין. Again, read that.
ותנסה באחד בשבת, ואם היה לו טענת בתולים, היה משכים לבתין.
Shlomo, explain that.
Okay, she also get married on Sunday and then go to betim Monday.
Exactly. Excellent. Okay.
שקדו חכמים על תקנת בנות ישראל.
The famous Shakedu. So what's the answer, Shlomo? And this is from the Tosefta.
Yes.
Shakedu Chachamim al Tekanat Benot Yisrael. Read the Takana. What is the Takana?
שהאדם טורח בסעודה 3 ימים. בסעודה 3 ימים. אחד בשבת, ושני בשבת, ושלישי בשבת.
וברביעי כונסה. Okay. Explain Shlomo Shakedu.
He works on the Seudah.
Shakedu Chachamim. What is Shakedu Chachamim? Shakedu Chachamim means that Chachamim were insistent or persistent. They were persistent. This must be done. Tekanat Benot Yisrael. We must have the proper meal for the daughters of Israel. And therefore, Sheyeh Adam Turech B'Seudah Shalosh Yamim. Explain that.
He needs to work on the Seudah for 3 days. The Baal.
Okay. And what's going to be therefore? It's going to be Sunday, he's working.
Yeah.
Monday, he's working. Tuesday, he's done. Third day. Ubar bi'i konsa. And therefore on Wednesday, he's konesota. Konsa means he allows her to enter his domain. That's called nisuim. Nisuim is when the hatan invites the kala to likanes lachupa. Konsa, that's what konsa means. Okay, now, this is all part of this Tosefta. Umi sakana be'ilah.
ומסכנה ואילך נהגו העם לכנוס בשלישי ולא מיחו באדם חכמים.
Okay, explain that, Shlomo.
When there's a danger,
Right? There was some danger.
Yeah.
The Tosefta doesn't say what it was. It just says umisakana ve'ilah. When
Yeah.
the danger started, we'll see later on what the danger was, right?
והעם נהגו לכנוס אותה בשלישי.
Excellent. It was the people on their own.
Yeah.
There was some sort of danger related to Wednesday, and because of the sakana, naharu ha'am lichnos b'shelishi, ve'lo mihu be'adam chachamim. What does it mean, ve'lo mihu be'adam chachamim?
Chachamim didn't get angry.
They should say, what are you doing? We did a takana that you get married on Wednesday, and you're doing it on Tuesday. Lo mihu be'adam chachamim. Chachamim says, yeah, you're right. Okay, continuing the Tosefta.
ובשני לא יכנוס ומחמת האונס מותר.
Explain that, Shlomo.
And the sheni, Yom Sheni, he doesn't bring her in.
Right.
Mechamat honest, it's allowed.
There was some honest, and again the Tosefta doesn't say what honest, it would be allowed. So something strange, you notice? For sakana, they wouldn't let him do it on Monday. For honest, they allowed it. But how does that make any sense? It should be the other way around, right?
ובשני לא יכנוס, right?
Right? It's saying for sakana we allowed it on Tuesday, but not on Monday. Monday, that's already too much.
Too much.
But if it's honest, no. Okay, you can do it on Monday. Honest. Sakana, you're not going to allow the wedding on Monday? Okay, it's a riddle.
מפרישין את החתן מן הכלה ללשת בתחילה מפני שהוא עושה חבורה.
All right. Umaflishin, do you know what this means? Umaflishin et hatan min akalla lele shabbat tehla mipnei shehu oseh habura with the dagesh chabot.
חבורה.
You take the hatan away from the kala and Lele Shabbat.
Tehillah. What do you mean lele shabbat tehillah?
Like the first, I guess if he did it's in a case of honest and he did it on
No. Lele shabbat tehillah means if he wasn't able to consummate the wedding, because sometimes the guys have trouble consummating the wedding. They're nervous. Maybe they got married on Wednesday. Maybe Wednesday night they were together, couldn't do it, and now maybe Friday night. Okay, let's try it, whatever. So no, tahillah. That's what tahillah means. If it's the first time that he's going to be with her, is going to be on Friday. Then it's because the first time that the man is with a woman, if she's a betula, there's blood. It's called virginity blood, dam betulim. So that's haburana. On Shabbat, for example, I'm not allowed to, let's say, scratch myself till blood comes out, right? That's also habura. That's isur deoraita. So because of that, the Hachamim said that if it's going to be the first time that he's going to be consummating the wedding, but he could have gotten married a few nights earlier. Maybe he tried a few times, it didn't work. It can't. That's why mafrishin et hatan min hakala lele Shabbat tahillah b'penei shehu oseh habura. If he wasn't with her until now, or didn't consummate it until now, Shabbat is not going. He's not going to be consummating it. Why? Because of habura. That's it. That's the Tosefta. The purpose of this part of the sugya is to examine the Tosefta. Now I said that this is a sugya hamusha, right?
Yeah.
Now the Tosefta, I believe, I'm just getting my notes. Where is it? No? Is this my notes? Yes, I think this is it, but I'm glad I didn't lose it. Oh no, I had it written down somewhere. Right? If you look, let's count the number of topics in the Tosefta. I'm going to read it with you now. Okay, and you'll count with me. Okay? מפני מה אמרו בתולה נישאת ליום רביעי, שאם היה לו טענת בתולים, היה משכים לבית. That's the first topic. Explaining why on Wednesday.
Yeah.
You agree?
Yeah.
Okay. בתל נעשה באחד בשבת, אם היה לו טענת בתולים, היה משכים לביתים. שקדו חכמים על תקנת בנות ישראל, שיהיה אדם תורע בסעודה 3 ימים. אחד בשבת, ושני בשבת, ושלישי בשבת, וברביעי כונסה. So topic number 2 is shakedu, explaining takedu, shakedu. Or explaining why it's not on Sunday. So topic number 1 was why Wednesday, topic number 2, why not Sunday. Okay, if I skip something, let me know. What's the third topic? ומסכנה באילך, נהגו העם לכנוס בשלישי ולא מיחו בידם חכמים. That's מסכנה באילך. ובשני לא יכנוס, אם מחמת האונס מותר. So, topic number 3 was sakana, topic number 4 is honest. Remember that, the Gemara is going to examine these topics. ומפרישים לתחתם מן הכלל אלה שבת החינם ולשבוע עשייה חבורה. That's topic number 5 is חבורה. How many topics? 5. There's going to be exactly 5 she'elot on the Tosefta. So this Halek Bet has a Tosefta. The Tosefta has 5 topics. And there's going to be exactly 5 she'elot on the Tosefta, clarifications. You understand? Is that nice?
One for each.
Right. I mean, no, it's not even following that. It's just the structure. You're going to see the structure. There's going to be 2 questions on sakana. They're not going to ask any questions on shakadu. They're not going to ask any questions on betul aniset. But it's going to be exactly 5 questions on the Tosefta, or 5 clarifications on the Tosefta. Okay? Yeah, nice. No? Perfect. So and like that, this gives you a perfect, when you think about the sugya, so you see part 1, Tosefta with 5 parts, and then 5 she'elot / clarifications on the Tosefta. So it's very easy to remember. And then we go to the next part. We didn't study the next part yet. Okay? So let's see, what time is it? It's 9:05. Do you want to take a 2-minute break now, or are you okay without a break? I'm leaving it up to you. No need for a break. Or it's up to you.
No, I don't need a break. No, I'm good.
Okay, let's continue. So we said how many clarifications are going to be looking for?
5.
Shalom, read the first one. She'elot.
מהי סכנה?
Okay, so the first question is, Tosefta says, Umisakana ve'ilach. What did we say? We said, right. Umisakana ve'ilach, naharu ha'am lichnos b'shelishi ve'lo mechobi alam hachamim. You never said what sakana was. So the famous Saul Lieberman, alav shalom, who was great. People compare him to the Gaon Vilna. Apparently he had a crazy memory. He was like a tremendous speaker. He was very friendly with Shteda, by the way, of course. And when I was a little boy, Shteda used to take me to him and he used to test me on Mishnah Bal Pass.
Really?
The famous Saul Lieberman. Okay. I was a little boy. I didn't even know what I'm doing. I was like a Saul Lieberman. All right. Anyway, he's author of the Tosefta Kipshuta, one of the greatest rabbinic, one of the greatest additions of rabbinic work done in the 20th century. But okay, so he says that this idea of sakana always refers to the Hadrianic persecutions in the days of Hadrian, in the Romans, when they destroyed the Bet HaMikdash Hasheni. During those days, it was terrible persecutions of the Jewish people. And he says, whenever you see in the Gemara sakana, it refers to Hadrianic persecutions. Okay? Just so you know. I'm explaining that so now you know. And Shteda agrees with him on this point.
I don't know anything about the Hadrianic persecutions.
I mean, the Romans, they persecuted the Jews, leading up to the destruction eventually of the Bet HaMikdash. Actually, I think this is the Hadrianic Revolution was after Mechila. It was in the era of Bar Kokhba. Take a minute.
Yeah.
The Hadrianic persecutions was during the days of the Bar Kokhba, which is the worst time, right? It was during the Bar Kokhba Revolution, which reminds me that we didn't say the Omer. Yesterday was 30. It's Tuesday today, right? Yeah. So yesterday was 30. So we're going to say the Omer now. Let's just stand up, say the Omer. Hold on. Right, so the Hadrianic persecutions were done in response to the Bar Kokhba Revolution. And it was the worst. I mean, it was just barbarism at its worst. So that's what sakana refers to. Okay, so just so you know. So anyway, so read the question again, Shlomo. My sakana.
סכנה.
Okay. I lost a place. My sakana. Okay. Ilema.
אילמה דאמרי בתולה הנישאת ליום רביעי תהרג.
Maybe, well, this is option number 1. Perhaps the sakana was that they said any betula who gets married on Wednesday will be killed. Is that the sakana that you're referring to?
נהגו
לגמרי נעקרוה. Right, so 1 second. Right. So if that was the case, it wouldn't say Nahagu ha'am. Nahagu ha'am. Where Nahagu ha'am? the guy's killing anybody who gets Wednesday. At that point, the whole sakana would be batel. Right? Ligamri ner keruah. Right?
Yeah.
All right, so Amar Rava. It should be Rava, not Rabba. Rabba with the he, Rava with an aleph. Amar Rava.
אמר רבא דאמרי בתולה נישאת.
Okay, so the first answer was rejected, meaning the first proposed answer was my sakana, and they said perhaps that they used to kill the woman getting married on Wednesday. They said no. So now Rava is going to offer another answer. Amar Rava.
אמר רבא דאמרי בתולה נישאת ביום רביעי תבעל להגמון
Lahigmon tehillah. 1 second. I just want to write a note here. Ilema teharek. Okay, so Rava says, so what does Rava say? The Amre b'Torah, he said, maybe, so Amar Rava, the Amre, the Gezerah was, or the Sakana was, Betula haniset leyom revi'i, tiba'el lahagmon tehillah. So this is the second proposed explanation of Sakana. He says, that they maybe the law was, and this was a sakana. Doesn't say ilema. So Amar Abba the Amre. You see, it doesn't say ilema. Here, there's no ilema. The first answer was ilema de Amre. Here, they're not saying there was no ilema here. So the first answer of betula niset liyom revi tarek, that was rejected. But Amar Abba de Amre betula niset leyom revi tiba'el lahagmon tehillah. So there was a hagmon, like a Roman general or a Roman governor. So he has to be with her. He has to defile her before she gets married. So meaning, if a betula, so they found out. So they found out that we have the law betula niset liyom revi'i. So they made a law, a counter law, a Roman law, that if a betula gets married on yom revi'i, tiba'el lahagmon tehillah. So that's the answer of Rabba, right? So the Gemara asks the second question. Hai sakana onesu. Read it.
Hai sakana onesu.
Right. If that's a sakana.
That's honest.
That's honest. That's what sakana. It doesn't say betula hanised leyom revi'i. Tehareg, it says, but said liyom levi to bayel agmon. That's sakana. That's honest, right?
משום דאיקה סנועות דמסרן נפשהו לקטלה ואתיין לידי סכנה. Because the answer is there might be sakana, because when a woman is in that type of situation, she doesn't know how she's going to react. But like bar minam, we should never know. Your cousin, I don't want to mention his name because the videotape, but he once told me that he was walking on Coney Island Avenue by Kings Highway. This abit came and basically it was armed robbery. Like, give me your money. So on the spot, he took off his watch, his wallet, everything. He threw it on the floor and he gave everything to the abit, and then he ran away. Now that was a very smart reaction. You don't always know how you're going to react. Some people have the instinct to fight back. Like, I'm not going to give you my money. You crazy? I don't want to give you my money. You don't know how you're going to react. It's a lot of emotion. There's a lot of things. The way he reacted was very intelligent. Maybe Malach Hashem was protecting him, so he just gave everything, and that's it. So when there's that type of situation, it's a dangerous situation. You can start fighting back with Abba. They gotta take a gun, but and who knows what's going to happen. They used to have in the 80s, New York City, there was Abid raping women. It was like a big thing. So the police used to say that if Bar Minan in that situation don't fight back, because by fighting back, the woman ends up getting killed. Like it's like it becomes an uncontrollable situation. So the answer, so that's what the Gemara is saying. So mishum deika senuot, there's women who they can't deal with that type of situation, and they get masran nafshayu liktala. They would end up mosrot their nefesh, and they're going to be and end up getting killed. V'atyan lideh sakana, and that's a sakana. The sakana is that the woman, she's going to fight back. Again, irrational. And then atyan lideh sakana. and they're bar minan, right? Just like the police in New York in the 80s, right?
So sakana is worse than honest.
No, forget about what's worse than that. All we're saying here is...
Because sakana means your life is in danger.
Right. No, because but her life is in danger. Because if she fights back, that's the danger.
Yeah.
The danger is not the honest, meaning the honest is the guy's a low life. Okay, so he wants to defile a Jewish woman, so he'll defile her. It's not a sakana, sakanat mavet. But the sakanat mavet is if she starts fighting back and the guy's a hagmon, and then maybe he'll end up killing her, right? So bar minan shiloni, that we should never know that situation, anything of that nature. But sometimes when you fight back, again, I brought the example of armed robbery. It creates sakana. The sakana is in our reaction, so the sakana could be in her reaction. Okay, so let me read that again. My sakana. So this is the first thing. So the first answer was that was answer number one. They said no. If that was the case, so explanation number two. Betulani said, "Leyom revi'i tiba'el lahagmon, tiba'el lahagmon tahila." So on that, they said, "Hay sakana onesu." So they say, "Mishum diika senot demasana afshar liktala ve'atyan li de sakana." Is that clear?
Yeah.
Everything clear so far?
We
propose.
It's what might happen from the way she reacts.
Exactly. So again, we have the question of the Tosefta never says what the sakana is. The Tosefta just says sakana. We're trying to figure out, right? All right. Let's continue. Continue reading, Shlomo.
Yeah.
ולדרוש להו
ולדרוש להו דאונס
שרע.
עיקר
So this is the third question. ולדרוש להו דאונס שרע. So why don't we teach them? לדרוש, because לדרוש, usually the shiurim when they're in the Bet Midrash, they never let anybody into the Bet Midrash. Back then, if you want to be in the Bet Midrash studying Gemara or studying, like high level, you have to be Ra'ui. The She'aram were not let into the Bet Midrash. I'm telling you, I've seen some scenes in different yeshivot in Bnei Brak. You walk into some of these yeshivas that you think you're walking into an insane asylum. I mean, they're not all shufim bedatam. I mean, the proof is that they say that to serve in the army is yareg v'alabor. You have to be clinically insane to believe that. I mean, these people. I'm not saying it to be insulting or to be mean-spirited. Can you say that? They are clinically insane people, right? So today, I guess a requirement to study Gemara is that to be clinically insane. You have to believe that somehow serving in the army is yareg v'alabor. I mean, I'll talk about the Bnei Brak Haredim, but also Shasta now, unfortunately. But the point, you want to go to whatever you're going to go, it's different over there. But thank God for that, Baruch Hashem. But anyway, the point is that the idea of the Hagmon Bar Minan defiling the woman, and the woman is going to fight back, so why don't we just be dorshim to them? So they would make a public derasha outside the yeshiva. The public derasha was usually done by the Resh Galuta's office. So the Resh Galuta was the head, like the Jewish governor, the head of the Galut of the Jews. He was like Mizera David HaMelech. That was like the municipality. So they used to do derashot there for the people. So it's saying, V'lidrosh lehu de ones sharet. So why don't we just teach the people that this situation is honest, and you don't have to fight back because it's sakanat nefashot to fight back, right? So teach the people like that. We've solved the problem of Bar Minan, the woman fighting back and getting killed, right? Now on this thing, I had a whole thing in my shiur, and you can listen to the recording. I'm not going to repeat it now, but the question is, what about Gilui Arayot? Is Yaharek Val Yavor? This is Gilui Arayot. She's a married woman. He already did Kiddushin because he already did Kiddushin on her, so she has the status of Eshet Ish. This is just the Nisuim. The Nisuim are on Wednesday.
And the Kiddushin was done maybe even a year ago.
Exactly, up to 12 months. Remember we said up to 12 months he has? So he did Kiddushin. Once he does Kiddushin, she has the status of Eshet Ish. So how can you say, V'lidrosh lehu de ones shareh? How can you say ones shareh? She's an Eshet Ish. It's Yaharek Val Yavor. right? So I studied it with Shlomo. Do you remember the answer?
Yeah, because she's karka olam, so she's
Explain
not.
what Karka Olam means, Aiki.
If he told her either he viewed me or kill you, then she would get killed.
Right.
But since he's not giving her an option, it doesn't
He's not
matter.
asking for permission.
Yeah.
Yeah, go on.
So yeah, there's nothing she can do. She's not.
Right,
not
meaning
asking her.
the Gemara asked about Esther Malka. How did she agree to be with the Hashverosh?
She didn't.
Exactly, she didn't. He didn't give her an option. It's not he says, either you come to me or I'll kill you. He just took her.
Yeah.
What did he ask her for permission? He says, honey, you want to be with me tonight? He wants to be with her, he's going to take her. He doesn't have a choice. There's no Yarek Val Yavov. Shela explains that the idea of Yarek Val Yavov is when the guy says, either you do this or I'll kill you. Either do Avodah Zarah or I'll kill you. Here he's going to rape a woman. He's not asking her for permission. He's not asking for permission. That's honest. That's honest. So there's nothing she can do. There's no Yarek. This is why in Shteda he spoke about this, and not a pleasant topic, but among the Ashkenazi communities they used to have the idea of martyrdom. That's why it was a mitzvah to commit suicide. And I explained in the classes that no, there is no mitzvah to commit suicide. It's yihareg, you got killed by somebody else. You don't kill yourself. The only time suicide is allowed is like Shaul HaMelech. I explained this in the class, where they were going to torture him, so he committed suicide. Also in Masada, in the Hadrianic persecutions, they were going to torture them to death, so they committed suicide. But there's no suicide because somebody says do an averah. You don't commit suicide. If they kill you, they kill you. Right? So if a guy like jumps on you and says and forces you to bow down before a statue, that's not Yarek Val Yavod. It's not giving you your choice. He's not saying either you bow down or I'll kill you. He's stepping on the guy and forcing him to be on the ground, prostrating in front of the statue. You understand?
Yeah.
That would be, so that's Ka'olam. Alright, so you understand the point? So that's why the Velidrosh Lehu Da'on Sharet. So we should give it the derasha that I just gave now. Ka'olam, Esther Malka, you can make a derasha and explain to the people, look, Barminan, we shouldn't know this. But if there's ever a situation where one of the Hagmon wants to rape the woman, don't fight back because that will bring sakana, and your anus, and anus hamana patre. You understand? Alright.
Okay.
Okay, 1 second.
Good. So what did you say? So it's called Olam?
Karka.
Oh, Karka Olam. Karka Olam literally
Karka.
means
Okay.
the Karka. It's like
The
when
ways of the
you
world.
Karka Olam, when a guy enters his field and he's like enjoying his field, like he just bought the field and now he enters the field to enjoy it. The field is not asking the person for permission to enter the field.
Got it.
Right? He's just entering the field and he's taking it over. Right? So Karka Olam. So Esther was like, she was Karka Olam. Hashverosh came to take Esther and she didn't have a choice. So why didn't Esther Yiharek V'Alabot? Because Hashverosh never gave her the option of Yiharek V'Alabot. He just raped her and or raped, whatever. So that's it. What are you going to do, right?
Yeah.
So, okay, so 1 second. So 1 second, Elema. So let me just read it again. I'm just reading it again. So you see, let's see the 5 questions. So, my shakedu. So we want to understand what shakedu. My sakana. So going backwards. Ilema. That's the first question. De amre betulani said liom revi. Hani said liom revi tareg. Nagu legamre nekeruha. Okay. So answer number 2. Amarava. De amre betula hani said liom revi tibael la hagmon tahila. So then we have question number 2. Hai sakana onesu. That's question number 2. Answer, משום דאיקת צנועות, דמסרן נפשי ולקטלה, ואתן לי דסכנה. Now question number 3. ולדרוש להו דעונש שרה. This is question number 3. So why don't you be דורש לעונש שרה? Read it, Aiki.
Honest Share means...
No, ולדרוש, he'll make a derasha, a public derasha, explaining to them, to the woman, that if you're anusa, it's mutar. You don't have to fight back and endanger yourself and bring yourself to sakanat mavet. The honest share means, and there's a principle, anus rachamana patre. If a person is anus, a guy is again stepping on the person, and there's avodah zarah there, and he's forcing him to prostrate in front of avodah zarah. That's anus. Anus rachamana patre. If a guy opens up his mouth and stuffs pig meat inside the mouth, that's anus. He's not saying either you eat the pig meat or I'll kill you. Actually, that's ya'avor v'al yareh. But if it's sha'at hashma, that's yiharek v'al ya'avor. That's not. But you understand the difference in. So somebody should come up, give a derasha, explain to the woman. Listen, bar minan, we shouldn't know this. But if one rapes you, don't fight back because he's going to end up killing you. Oh, but I have to fight back. It's I'm an eshet ish. No, you're anusa. Anus lahamanat patreh. So you don't have to commit suicide. That's exactly what
Is this the third question? No.
this was. No, but yeah, that's a question.
Oh.
Why don't we say instead of moving the wedding to Tuesday? Why don't you explain to them? Explain to the woman onesh shareh. In that way, you obviate the sakana, or you get rid of the sakana rather, by telling.
Right.
Just like the police officers in the 80s told the woman, don't fight back because otherwise you're going to be endangering yourselves. Tell the woman here in the Adriatic persecution, don't fight back because otherwise you're going to endangering yourself. By Judaism, we love life. We want to stay alive. The name of the game is stay alive. All these hostages, Hazat, that they were in Gaza, but they stayed alive. I mean, they're alive, you know. They got their lives back, you know.
Yeah.
But okay.
Wait,
So the question is, why instead of being mevatel, not mevatel the original gezerah, but moving it from Wednesday to Tuesday, instead of moving it, why don't you just tell the woman, you don't have to move it, keep it on Wednesday, and if the Hagon rapes you, he rapes you. There's no sakana. That's a question.
why just avoid the whole situation, get married on Tuesday?
No, but it's a
There's
separate
no-
question, meaning you're right.
Yeah.
I agree with you. You're 100% right. 100% right, not 99% right. The point is, nevertheless, we have a problem that women think that if they're getting raped, it's Yahareg Val Yavor, and they do everything in their power to avoid the rape. Forget about the question of when the wedding is. You're right. The wedding should be on Tuesday. Obviously, we want to avoid the rape. But the point is, this idea that there's sakana is because women are ill-informed. So somebody should inform the woman and tell them, you don't fight back in this situation. You want to stay alive for your husband. You want to stay alive for your family. If rape is horrible, worse than rape is getting raped and murdered. Okay? You're not going to stop the rape. So at least stay alive so you can continue your life. You understand the point?
Yeah.
That's the velito shul de onesh shareh. Irrespective of the fact that we moved it. Okay, we moved it on Tuesday. You're right. Good move. Nahagu ha'am, correct. Lo mechabi alam chachamim. But somebody should teach a woman. Lido shul de onesh shareh. Okay? So the answer is, that was question number 3. Ike, read it.
Okay.
Ika perusot.
Ika perusot, Ika name.
Kohano. So there's a problem. The reason they didn't want to give a public derasha about the matter is because the public derasha is for everybody. Now the problem is, Ika perusot. There's some woman who maybe, let's say, you know what? Good, I get to cheat on my husband. Maybe her husband is, I don't know, fat, short, and bald. And she's like, okay, the guy's going to be with me. Let me, this. So now if you tell them on a shareh, they might take advantage. Who knows? Yeah, Ika perusot. Also, you have kohanot. Everything I told you about the fact that the woman shouldn't fight back is correct because she gets to return to her husband. But there's a problem with kohanot. In the case of kohanot, a kohenet who's raped, she can't go back to her husband, even though it wasn't ben ason. So perutza, the problem with perutzot is she's going to try to take advantage. Now, if the woman does a ben ason, she's not allowed to go back to her husband, right?
Even if she's Israel?
Even if she's Israel, if she's ben ason.
Yeah.
Kohenet, even if she's anusa, she can't go back to her husband, right? Meaning, a bat Israel eshet Israel שנאנסה, חוזרת לבעלה. אשת כהן שנאנסה, לא חוזרת לבעלה. So you see that the idea of nahagu ha'am to push the wedding to Tuesday makes sense because you can't make a derasha on the one hand, because if you make a derasha, there's going to be the kohanot. You tell the kohanot everything is going to be okay. I don't know if everything is going to be okay, right? Everything's not going to be okay. And then perutzot, everything is going to be okay. Well, you can't go back to your husband at that point. There's a Gemara in Masechet Sotan, Masechet Yevamot, Asura LaBaal, Asura LaBo'er. If a woman beratzon is with another man, she's married, she can't go back to her husband and she can't go back to the bo'er, to the person who's with her.
Yeah, but her not fighting back isn't her being beratzon?
No, so the point is, the woman, the Perusa woman, might in her mind say, you know what, let me, I'll be with him, again, you don't know, like human psychology, you don't know what's happening in the mind. That's why we can't make a derasha, because it's a type of, if somebody comes privately and asks a chacham, then you examine the situation. But not everything you want to be doresh parabim. There's some things that have to be careful, because people may take it into the wrong direction. Okay, let's continue. Okay, so that was the third question. The answer is Ika Perusot, Ika Meklanot. Okay. Question number 4.
Okay.
Velikeruha, Aiki.
ולעקרוها גזרה עבדה דבטלה
בתקנתא דרבנן.
בתקנתא דרבנן מקמא גזרה לעקרינן.
Beautiful. Just 1 second. 1 second. And I had all these things. And again, I have the tapes online, but I figured let me teach it to you, in great detail. And now when you listen to the previous classes, you'll follow it better. You understand? And I strongly recommend that you listen to the previous classes. That's important. But okay, let me explain this. Read that again. Read it again.
ולעקרוها גזרה עבדה
ולעקרוها, that's a question number 4.
ולעקרוها גזרה עבדה דבטלה
בתקנתא מקמא. בתקנתא דרבנן מקמא גזרה. Let's read that together. Let me read it once and then the two of you will read it with me. ולעקרוها, that's question number 4. Answer. גזרה עבידה דבטלה. בתקנתא דרבנן מקמא גזרה לעקרינן. All of us together. ולעקרוها גזרה עבידה דבטלה. בתקנתא דרבנן מקמא גזרה לעקרינן. That was question number 4. So they say, okay, so why don't you just be okay? Why don't you just be okay with the takana of Yom Levi'i? I mean, there's a problem. On the one hand, you have this gezerah, come the Romans, and they make a thing to Ba'ila Hagmon. Right? So maybe we should be okrim. Because you can't be Doresh Barabim and tell the woman, don't fight back, because then you have Kohanot. And if you tell the woman, don't fight back, and they shouldn't fight back, but the Kohenet knows that she's going to lose her husband, lose the thing, so her whole family is going to be destroyed. Right? Perutzot, right? So we have a problem. Having the wedding on Wednesday is a problem. So just uproot it. Uproot it. Le'ikirua, you understand? La'akor, le'ikirua means melashon la'akor. Le'ikirua, so the answer is, eventually, the Roman Adrianic persecution is going to be mitpatel, obviously, where the Romans today. You're right. But I really believe the Catholic Church, it's Haim of the Romans. They're Shaim. Shaim. Right, anyway. So Gezerah Avida de Batla. The Gezerah is eventually going to be patel. I want to explain to you what Jeda said. I want to see if I can find it. He said that, I can't find it. But it doesn't matter, I know what he said. He said the Hachamim would never, ever be mevatlim even the smallest law that Rabbanan out of deference to the Roman law. See, our law is, Le'olam Adonai Devarcha Nisab Hashamayim. Right? Our law that we have, even a Gezerah de Rabbanan, even a Takana de Rabbanan, even Gezerah B'tulan said Yom Levi'i, which we hardly even follow today because we don't have Takanat Ezra or Batei Dinim. They wouldn't move an iota for the Romans. Because the minute you move the law for the Romans, what you're saying is that some of the Romans have authority over us. But we never recognize the authority of the Romans over us, ever. And therefore, there's no way. The Gezerah Of the Romans, it's going to be Ne'ekat. The Romans, it's going to be להעביד גילולים מן הארץ, והעלים כל התקלטו לתקן עולם במלכות שדי, right? We're לתקן עולם במלכות שדי, they're nothing, right? And they're all batlu, Roman Empire, batel, mutal, ga'afra, de'ara, right? And that's it, completely nothing, right? But we're kayamim, so we're not going to move our law for their law, ever. You understand? Very deep concept, it's fantastic Gemara.
I feel like we did though, no? Like,
No?
we did it on
The
Yom
Betulah Nisel Yom
Shishi.
Levi, till today we have that law. Betulah Nisel Yom Levi is till today. Arambam, Mishneh Torah brings halakha Betulah Nisel Yom Levi. But in places where you have Batei Dinim Yoshavim Yom Hamishi.
Yeah, but they did it on Yom Shishi, they said, no? Like,
No. Nahagu ha'am.
Uh-huh.
Not that the Chachamim batlu et ha'gezerah. Nahagu ha'am. That's what they have the question. The people on their own said we can't do this anymore. The Chachamim said, you know what? We're not gonna tell the people what to do, but we're also not gonna be matim the gezerah. Meaning, the original gezerah stands. The Torah said Nahagu ha'am because of sakana,
Right.
and correctly so. Chachamim said, we're not gonna tell the people to get married on Wednesday. That's ridiculous.
And then Michamat Oneth, I guess we'll see like.
Oh, well, so whatever onus is, we'll see what that is. Until next week's class, we'll see onus. But the point is, at this point, we did 4 questions. We have to do question number 5. Okay. All these 5 questions were on what topic? Sakana. Exactly. 5 she'elot. Yeah, al sakana. Correct. Al sakana. Yeah, okay. Okay. Later on, I'll give you the Surah Dishmateta. I'll set it for you. Okay. ובלי קרואה, גזרה אבילה דבטלה ותקנתה דרבנן, מקמא גזרה לאקלינן. Okay?
Okay.
Continue.
אי הכי ושלישי,
נמא עתה ובעיל,
עתה ובעיל, מספיק קלה, מספק קלה,
מספק קלה, עקל נפשי.
מספק קלה, עקל נפשי.
Okay. Read that again. This is question number 5.
אי הכי בשלישי,
נמא עתה ובעיל.
אי הכי בשלישי נמא, עתה ובעיל.
Answer. מספק קלה, עקל נפשי.
מספק קלה, עקל נפשי.
Okay, so the question number 5 is as follows. So then, why don't we say as follows? Why doesn't he come on Tuesday? You're saying, now go out to do it on Tuesday. Why not go out to do it on Tuesday? Because the guy used to rape the woman on Wednesday. But how does that solve a problem? So the guy's going to see that they're doing the wedding on Tuesday. So if Nagua Am to do it on Tuesday, he's going to say, on Tuesday also, he's going to come and be Bo'elota. And the answer is, this answers the question you asked earlier about Lidrosh Lehu, not Lidrosh Lehu, and that it's in hell, and what are we doing? Nagua Am Lichnos Bashelishi means sometimes they would do it on Tuesday, sometimes they would do it on Wednesday. That answers your original question. Remember you asked the question? He said, but how can he say Velidrosh Lehu? Why would you say Velidrosh Lehu the Onesh Shareh? You said just do it on Tuesday. Right? But the answer to you is, but if you do it on Tuesday, the guy's going to come on Tuesday. That's his question. If you move it to Tuesday, as you said, so just move it to Tuesday. Which is what they said, now to move it on Tuesday. But how does that solve the problem? The guy's going to come on Tuesday. The answer is, they didn't redo the Gezerah to Tuesday. Sometimes they would get married on Tuesday, sometimes they would get married on Wednesday. Now the guy knows that he might get there on Wednesday. Oh, no, the wedding was yesterday. Sorry, he missed the wedding. The guy comes on Tuesday, oh sorry, the wedding is tomorrow. No hotels in the city. Sorry, no place to sleep tonight. Right? So you understand? So by doing it Tuesday, sometimes it was done Nahua Am on Tuesday, that automatically destroys the law of the Hagmon, because anytime he comes, you can do circles around. There's no wedding. No wedding.
Got it.
You heard there's a wedding? No. Right? So you understand the point?
Yeah.
You understand the point of Nahagu? So that's why. So I'm going to read that question again, and this is question number 5. How do you solve the problem? By moving it to Tuesday. He's going to come. Ate means hu yavo, uba'il ve'yiv'ol. He'll be bo'el the betula. And the answer is misefeka la'akar nafsheh. He's not going to make the trip to the Jewish town because maybe there's a wedding. Every time he goes, he's going to play circles around him. No, it was yesterday. No, it's tomorrow. No, it's next week. You understand? Misefeka la'akar nafsheh. So that's why. So that's there. So let's review these 5 questions. What was question number 1? Shalom. And look at the Gemara. If you don't have to. Yeah. No, that's a topic. My sakana means introducing the topic. This section number 1 is dealing with sakana. Right, sakana. So that's like the topic we're studying now is sakana. Okay, so we make a proposal. We say perhaps the sakana was that they would kill the betula that's get married on Wednesday. That was proposal number 1. We proposed that perhaps the betula was killed. So then they ask a question. Nahagu legamre inyan korua. What was the first question? The first question was against this proposal. The idea is that maybe the sakana was that she was going to be killed. What was the question on that? Nahagu legamre inyan korua.
Nagu, if it was like that, they would just take the takana out completely.
Exactly. If there was sakana, then they would be oking the gezerah. B'chai b'hem v'lo she'amut b'hem. This is mamash she'amut b'hem, right? The b'chai b'hem means that the laws of the Torah b'chai b'hem, and if the guy's coming and killing on Wednesday, mamash she'amut b'hem. So in that case, the akeruah. In that case, you would have to be oker. Notwithstanding everything I said before, right? Okay, so that was question number 1. Right. I mean, if sakana means as you propose, the first proposal for sakana means mamash sakana tefashot, that he would come, see the betula and take a gun and shoot her. That was the proposal, right? My sakana ilema, right? All right. No, so they said no. So the question on that is so that can't be it. So they make a second proposal. What's the second proposal? It was Rava.
Amar Rava.
Aiki, what was the second proposal? The Amre, Betula, and he said, I
didn't fully understand first.
Right. The first proposal was, again, the Tosefta doesn't tell us what the sakana is.
So they're just speculating.
My sakana. So this part of the Gemara, this part of the guys, my sakana.
We haven't entered. So now we're entering the Hagmon situation.
Right. So we don't know. We don't know. We know there was sakana. We don't know what it was.
Okay.
So the first proposed suggestion was perhaps the sakana was that he would kill the woman that we're getting married on Wednesday. The Hagmon.
Okay.
It doesn't say Hagmon. It just says.
To win further.
No. It just says whoever was in charge of killing. I don't know who was in charge of killing.
Got it. Okay.
Right?
And then
So the question against that proposal was
the Hagmon.
we wouldn't say Nahagu Am in that case. What did the Tosefta say? That because of the sakana, Nahagu Am to do it on Tuesday.
Yeah.
If the sakana was that the guy's coming and killing everybody, killing the bride, we wouldn't say Nahagu Am.
Oh, the Chachamim would be behind that.
The Chachamim themselves would say, everybody, Morai v'Rabotai, I know we said Wednesday, but the Torah says, Asher ya'aseh ochem ha'adam v'chai bahem v'lo she'amut bahem. This is mamash she'amut bahem.
Right.
The Hagmon is coming, and not the Hagmon, the Roman army is coming and killing the Betulot that get married on Wednesday. That's it. No more of this takana.
And they wouldn't say that if it's just the Hagmon coming?
No, because the Hagmon coming is not sakana nefashot.
Yeah.
Right? The Hagmon coming was...
potential sakana if they fight back.
If they fight back, exactly. All right, so wait, hold on.
We didn't.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry, go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
They didn't even lidrosh to them not to fight back, and then they said the 50.
Okay, so wait, hold on. One thing at a time.
Okay.
One thing. So first of all, the first question was ligamre keruha. So we reject that first proposal. The first proposal is rejected. Okay.
Got it.
Okay. Then we have the second proposal.
Number 2 is that the Hagmon would take her before she gets married.
Right. Exactly. And what's the question on that?
Why is the sakana? It's honest.
Right. You understand, Shalom? It's a linguistic question. Why are you calling that sakana? It's honest. Right?
Okay, so the answer is that the woman used to fight back, and as like in the 80s, the cops told the ladies not to fight
Right,
back.
so Ika Senot, the
that
Masan
means more
Nafshali.
danger.
First of all, before you get there, Ika Senot, the Masan Nafshali Tala. You're right, it was honest, but it was also sakana, because if a woman fights back, then Balmina sakana nefashot, and that's what they call it sakana.
Yeah.
Okay? So again, we have the Gezerah of Wednesday. The Gezerah is that the guy comes and rapes a woman.
Yeah.
So they say to call it honest. Why are you calling it sakana? No, the sakana is because when you have a rape, then you have also potential sakana nefashot. The woman might fight back, and there'll be sakana nefashot. So on that they say velidrosh lehu. The third question was velidrosh lehu
the honest shareh.
Velidrosh lehu the honest shareh.
We tell them
That they shouldn't be fighting back.
Yeah.
The honest shareh, like that, there wouldn't be sakana anymore. It wouldn't be high sakana. It would be honest, right? Because the Tosefta calls it sakana, right? Velidrosh lehu the honest shareh. Answer.
Ika perutzot ve'ika name kehonos.
Kohanot.
Because the perutzot are going to take like
Advantage.
lightly,
Yeah.
and also kohanot, they're not going to be able to go back to the husband.
Exactly. So it's not so simple. So you're saying, oh no, it's okay. The guy comes, just don't fight back. To chazita, to kohenet, it's like she's going to lose her husband. You can't just say, whatever. I mean, it's a shalom nida, but the point is, it's a sakana. The kohenet knows she's losing her husband. So you can say all the derashah you want to say, but the kohenet knows she's going to lose her husband. She's going to fight back.
Yeah.
So there's sakana. There's built-in sakana.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Question number 4, Aiki.
Question number 4. Should I read it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I can page before.
So let's go back to the original question. So why don't we akrim if it ends up it's mamash sakana? Now originally the first answer you wanted to say was that the Hagmon comes and kills everybody. And what did we answer?
No.
We said no. If that was the case, we would be akrim the gezerah. So here we're saying what? That there's going to be sakana nefashot for the kohenet, because she's going to fight back no matter what you say. So they said, so we go back to the original question. Right? So uproot it, the sakana.
Yeah.
Right, so what's the answer?
I just had it. The answer is that, it's an answer we got from Judea, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, exactly.
That because there's a Roman law that the Jewish rabbis would never take away or akol a Jewish law in the name of a Roman law.
Exactly, because their laws are batel u'butal ke'afra de'ara.
What is like the Gemara? Do we have an explanation of the Gemara? Or?
No, it says. It says explicitly.
It says that explicitly.
It says, Gezerah Abida de Batla. The Gezerah of the Hagmon is going to be better.
Okay, got it.
The Takanta de Rabbanan, and we have a Takana just for the Hachamim, Mikameh Gezerah La'akem. We're not going to be Okrim the Takana Hachamim because they made some stupid Gezerah.
Right.
Won't do it.
Got it.
Right. And then final question is, Yachi.
B'Shelishi Nameh.
I shall know you asked this question. Okay. Yachi B'Shelishi Nameh Ateo Ba'il. Right, well, the question number 5.
Wait, but could I just ask a question?
Oh, yes, please.
Does that mean that question number 1 was like wrong or
no? Question number 1 was correct, meaning it was a question.
Yeah.
You're telling me what sakana that the guy's coming and killing the woman.
Yeah.
But if that's really the sakana, then you should be mevatel the gezerah of the chachamim in that case.
Yeah.
Because the hukim of the Torah is asher yaseh otam ha'adam b'chai bahem. And the Chachamim say, "V'lo she'yamut bahem." So how can the Chachamim give us a gezerah shemamash metim bahem? So he said that can't be the explanation of sakana. It can't be that they're coming and killing the woman. It has to be something else. And they say, it was something else. That they're coming and raping a woman.
But then we came to the conclusion that
that's also sakana. For the kohanot, it's sakana.
Yeah, but we
because
still have.
Okay, so that's a question. So they say, why don't we uproot it? So now they get to the heart of the matter. The heart of the matter is, you're right. There is sakana for the kohanot. You're right. And there's also sakana of the perutzot. Because they're going to be asurot leba'ala. Okay, they're going to take advantage. But the point is, the real sakana is the kohanot. And We're not gonna budge the laws de Rabbanan because of a Roman law. That's it. Like we believe in the supremacy of Jewish law over every other system. We're not gonna budge anything for any goy. Understand?
Kind of, yeah.
Well, no. What do you mean?
No, I get it.
You're studying laws of Kiddush Hashem. So the Kiddush Hashem is about the idea that no emperor, no Rodan, no timer is going to tell us to go against the laws of God ever. The Hachamim were authorized by the Torah to make gezerot and takanot. These gezerot and takanot are not going to be budged because some Rodan came and said, "I don't like it," or "I'm going to take advantage of you."
So in that case, in the first question is
No, I understand. We're going deeper. It's deeper. Then the bottom line, we're not going to be debating our law for their law.
Got it. Okay.
That's the truth. That's what they're saying. That's what they're saying. Okay, question number 5, Shlomo, do you remember?
בשלישי לנה,
בשלישי נמה
נמה,
התהו בעיר.
התהו בעיר.
How does doing the wedding on Tuesday solve anything? He'll come on Tuesday. He'll just come on Tuesday. You understand?
Yeah.
That also like proves that they're like מסתמכים on that they're gonna do it on Tuesday, no?
Who's mistamchim?
The rabbis, or like the people writing the good,
We're assuming.
they're like basing the halacha off. The people are gonna go against the halacha, no?
Okay, fair enough. No.
It doesn't matter.
We understand that nahagu ha'am. That's why it says nahagu ha'am. It doesn't say batlu hachamim, or it says they suspended. The hachamim, on the one hand, they're not going to uproot the law. The law is the law.
Yeah.
This Nahagu ha'am, we agree. Nahagu ha'am, good idea. Nahagu ha'am. Give me 1 second. We'll come back. We have 5. We are cleaning the gezerah. This nahagu ha'am, and we hachamim. We agree.
Yeah, okay.
It also shows sometimes a person has to have a sechel. You can't be like, oh no, we're doing it on Wednesday and that's it, and I don't care. No, you understand?
Yeah.
A woman comes to me, husband comes to me, they is regular Syrian. Should I divorce my wife because she's not covering her hair? I don't know if I'll tell him to divorce his wife. I might not say that. Destroy the family, destroy the children, destroy her. Maybe he's gonna God, who knows what's gonna happen to him, what's gonna happen to her. You know what I mean? You have to also understand how to apply the laws. So the Hachamim go, oh haram, the wedding should be on Wednesday. What are you doing on Tuesday? Lo akru, also lo akru. Okay, all right. So what's the answer to that? Either of you?
Yes, that when the Roman emperor would come to the city to get all the...
Because they had the wedding on both days. Sometimes it'd be Wednesday, sometimes it'd be Tuesday.
Exactly.
It wasn't just Tuesday. Hagu ha'am, sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
That's a peshat, right? And therefore the guy was confused. So here we examined the law of sakana. Next time, in the next shiur, we're going to examine the law of ones. The law of ones, what the Tosefta meant by ones. Okay, but you see how I want to, since we're studying together, I want to really take it down to the level where mamash every shiur you understand everything, and then you can review it. And now when you study it together, maybe the two of you should make a review session together. Read it out loud. Read the Gemara out loud. Read it, and then explain it and understand it. If you have questions, ask me. Okay?
Perfect.
All right, you want to grab a beat now?